Hello friends, myself Jeenal Mistry from Catalyst Classes Silvassa. So here in this video today I'm going to start with the 9th standard syllabus. The first chapter in that is the fundamental unit of life. Now, you already know, or you must have studied in your lower classes, that fundamental unit of life is none other than the cell. Cell is the basic unit of life. Without a cell, no living organism can survive. Even a single-celled organism or prokaryotic cell, a bacteria, they are made up of cell only. That single cell is carrying out all the functions in the body of the bacteria, which results into the products, different types of products formed or different types of growth taking place in the bacteria. So here in this chapter today we are going to discuss about what are the different components of the cell and what are the functions of those components. Together, when all these components they work together, they result in the formation of a cell, which acts as the base of life or the living system. Cell itself, the components of the cell, they are not living. They are made up of different molecules which are smaller or larger in size. But when all those molecules come together, they give life to a particular organism, and the base of that life is none other than cell. Let us start with the history. Where exactly did this idea of cell come from? So if you go back to the history, there were different scientists who had contributed in the discovery of cell and its part. The first person who actually brought the idea of something called as cell was Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke was a scientist who observed the cork cells of plant. Now, what are cork cells? Basically, they are the component, they are the cells found in the plants. The outermost part of the tree that you see, which is brown in color, which is hard, that part is called as a cork. These cork cells, they are non-living cells. But when Robert Hooke, he observed these cork cells in a microscope. Now that microscope again was made by himself. It was a simple microscope which could observe where different lenses were placed, and whatever object was placed in front of that, it was getting magnified. So these Robert Hooke observed these non-living cells under the microscope, and he said that there is something found inside these microscopes, some structures, little structures which have arranged themselves like that of an honeycomb, right? He gave this structure, he gave these name as cell, right? It generally cell doesn't mean, it means a little room. So he said that the components are made up of certain structures which are called as cells, right? It literally means a little room inside which it has its own component. So he was the first person who observed the non-living cells, that is the cork cells. Then came another scientist called as Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Leeuwenhoek again observed cells only, but this time he was observing certain live cells. And where did he observe these live cells from? From the pond water. He took pond water, he made his own microscope, took a sample of pond water and observed under that microscope. So what did he find was the certain single-celled organisms, right? And these cells that first were observed by Leeuwenhoek were the live cells, live systems. After the discovery of cells by Robert Hooke and Anton von Leeuwenhoek, Robert Brown was further trying to study these cells. He was trying to study what exactly is present in the cell. So Robert Hooke said that inside each cell is again present a small structure which plays an important role, and that structure was none other than nucleus, which was named by Robert Brown, right? He told that cells are not only rooms which do not have anything or which just have the fluid present in it, but inside that fluidic system is also present a dark stained structure which is called as the nucleus. cell was known, nucleus was known. Now, what is exactly present inside this cell was then discovered by another scientist called as Purkinje. Purkinje, he told that the cell, a room, the boundary which is forming the cell and the nucleus which is present inside it, in between two, there is a fluid present, and that fluid was named as protoplasm by Purkinje. So first there was observation of the dead cells and the non-living, I'm sorry, it is not non-living cells, it will be dead cells, okay? Because cells themselves, they are part of living system. They are dead cells, right? Then Antoine Leeuwenhoek, he observed the live cells from the pond water. Robert Brown found or discovered the nucleus that is present inside the cell, and Purkinje told that apart from the nucleus and the boundary which is forming the cell, there is a type of fluidic material that is present inside that boundary, and that fluid was named as protoplasm by Purkinje. Getting a brief idea of the cells and a bit components, not all the components were still known, but some of the components which were known, there were two main scientists who were working on different cells. One is, the name of one scientist is Skildon. 1838 was the time when Skildon was a botanist. Now, what do you mean by a botanist? A person which has specialization in studying plants and its functions. So, Skildon in 1838 was a botanist. He mainly studied plant cells. And yes, he said that all organisms are made of cells. At the same time, and finally a year later, in 1839, Schwann was a scientist who was a zoologist. Now, what do you mean by zoologist? A person who studies animals. So, Skildon was a person who was studying plants. Schwann was a person who was studying animals. He again said that, basically when he was studying animal cells, he said that these animal cells, they are not having any hard membrane, but they have structures similar to plant cells, and hence he also concluded the same line. All organisms are made up of cells. Together, Skildon and Schwann, they basically framed a cell theory. After studying the results independently, both of them studied each other's results, and they came to a conclusion, or they framed the cell theory, which said that cell is the fundamental unit of life. And when I say it is fundamental unit, that means it is structurally as well as functionally important. Correct? And the second thing they said was all living organisms are made up of cells. Right? So they knew what is cell and what are the different components. By studying all these things, they had framed this cell theory. Later on, in the later part, somewhere around in 1855 or something, there was another scientist who came up with a discovery. The name of that scientist was Rudolf Virchow. Now, what did Rudolf Virchow say? He also studied cells and everything, but he was mostly interested in trying to find out that if living organisms are made up of cells, how new cells are formed? How do cells come into existence? So he, after studying his complete study, he said, he gave a term called as omnis a cellula. What does this mean? He said that all living organisms, or cells basically, or cells arise from pre-existing cells. What does that mean? New cells, they are formed from the older cells when the older cells, they divide. New cells formed, they can be called as the daughter cells. So this was again a point which was later on added in the cell theory. So now if the question is asked in exam, explain cell theory, you will have to write 3 points. Up till now, maybe you must have studied only 2. Third point is this: all cells existing cells. मतलब जो पुराने cells होते हैं, those cells they only divide to form the new cells. So this is the history of the cells, how cell was discovered and different components of the cell were discovered. In the next video, we will learn about what are different types of organisms found depending upon the cells and detailed function and structure of the cell. Thank you.